Chapter 1131. Call me if you need anything, Benjamin instructed her before he spun on his heel and left. Orissa smiled as she watched the man leave. She retracted her gaze after Benjamin closed the door. She lay in bed and scrolled through her phone for a while before taking a nap. After more than an hour, Benjamin finished his work. Orissa had woken up when he headed upstairs and was scrolling through the news on her phone in bed. "Didn't you sleep?" Benjamin thought she didn't rest and frowned. Orissa blinked as she noticed his stern expression. "I just woke up," she replied with a smile on her face. Benjamin examined her to make sure she wasn't lying. The dazed, drowsy look in her eyes suggested she had only just awoken. "You only had a short nap." "Yes," Orissa nodded. She seemed to be in high spirits as she continued, "I didn't want to go back to sleep after waking up." "Are you done with your work?" Benjamin nodded and turned to head toward the bathroom. "I still have some documents that Ethan sent over, but there's no rush." Orissa glanced at him and let out a sigh. It wasn't inconvenient for him to work at home. He must have put a lot of work on hold while she was in the hospital. Furthermore, he had to stay at home with her now. She could only speculate on how far behind the company was. Benjamin's phone rang again. Although it didn't seem like Ethan, Orissa knew it was work-related. The moment Benjamin hung up, another call came in. When he walked out with his towel, it had been some time. Benjamin met Orissa's gaze and arched a brow. "What's wrong?" Orissa smiled and joked, "You seem so busy." Picking one call after another. Benjamin glanced at her and sat on the bed to wipe her face. "Did I disturb you?" "No." Orissa shook her head, causing Benjamin to pinch her chin. Then, Benjamin stood up to wash the towel. Even his shadow looked gentle. Orissa couldn't help but smile sweetly at his affection and tenderness. "He's growing on me." Benjamin placed the towel in the bathroom and came out. "Do you want to go to the bathroom?" Orissa nodded, realizing she was becoming more reliant on him. When Benjamin turned around, she wrapped her arms around his neck. "Benjamin, what if I don't want to walk anymore in the future?" Benjamin stared at her gorgeous face and smiled affectionately. "I'll carry you if you don't want to walk." Orissa cast a glance at him. "Won't you get tired of me then?" Benjamin narrowed his eyes and leaned toward her. "Have you seen me grow tired of you before?" Orissa smiled sheepishly in response. "I'm saying in the future. It won't happen in the future either. If you are worried, you can supervise me." Benjamin replied nonchalantly. Orissa giggled. A smile crinkled the corners of her eyes. Benjamin's expression darkened. As he carried her to the bathroom, the phone rang again before he could place her down. "Look, everyone is looking for you when you aren't at the office." Orissa smiled. Benjamin gestured for her to use the bathroom and left to answer the phone. He knew she didn't want others to hear her when she was in the bathroom. Benjamin was still on the phone when Orissa walked out of the bathroom. Benjamin frowned at her as if he disapproved of her behavior. She ran toward the bed and blinked at the man on the phone. "Ah, staying at home is so boring. I want to go work too." After Benjamin hung up the call, he glanced at Orissa, who was lying on the bed. "Ha ha, go and do your work. I'll get enough rest." Orissa laughed dryly. Benjamin arched a brow and took their jackets, then he walked to the bed. "Get up, I'll bring you out." Orissa's eyes lit up. She couldn't hide her delight and immediately stood up. "Slow down." Benjamin frowned. How can I not be worried when she behaves like a child? Chapter 1132. Orissa was over the moon and quickly reassured him, "It's fine." Benjamin glared at her. He didn't say anything upon noticing how delighted she was. He helped her put on her jacket before carrying her out. Orissa hooked her arms around his neck and leaned her head on his shoulders. Benjamin could feel her breathing down his neck, causing his body temperature to increase. His throat felt dry. Benjamin gulped and stopped in his tracks momentarily. He adjusted Orissa before heading to the stairs. Orissa noticed his tense expression and ragged breathing as if he was enduring something. "What's wrong? Do you feel sick?" Her warm breath brushed past his ear. It was one of Benjamin's sensitive spots. "No, I'm fine." Benjamin gritted his teeth as he tried to suppress the burning desire within his heart. Orissa stared at him and knew he was lying. "If you aren't feeling well, you can put me down. Benjamin took a deep breath and turned to look at her. Their faces were inches apart, so they could feel each other's breath. The atmosphere turned ambiguous and intimate. Benjamin uttered hoarsely, "You keep teasing me. How can I be fine?" Hearing his complaint, Orissa froze momentarily and looked at him innocently. "When did I tease you?" He abruptly dropped her at the corner, his hands on the wall behind her. He didn't let her back touch the cold wall but trapped her in his arms. He leaned down and kissed her, one hand on the back of her head. Orissa blinked, feeling her heartbeat beating like a drum. When Benjamin heard Darius' voice from downstairs, he suppressed his desire and let go of Orissa. Orissa was flushing crimson, and her eyes were shimmering. She looked captivating. Benjamin felt an urge bubbling from within. He wanted to take her back to the room and have his way with her. Orissa blushed upon meeting his passionate gaze. She covered his eyes, causing him to chuckle. He removed her hands and couldn't stop himself from kissing her red lips again. Orissa glared at him and whispered, "Dad is here." Benjamin scoffed. "Huh, Dad just knows how to come at the wrong time to disturb us." He hugged her, his chin resting on her shoulder blade. He occasionally nibbled on her neck. Orissa tried to avoid him and protested, "Hey, stop biting me." Benjamin's eyes darkened. "Weren't you just teasing me a moment ago?" "It's an unfounded accusation." Orissa tried to recall what had happened. Suddenly, her lips twitched. "How was I supposed to know that you would react like this? I wasn't doing anything. Explanations are just cover-ups. You were teasing me." Benjamin was shameless as he insisted that she was seducing him purposely. Orissa was not amused, so she retorted, "Then it can only be blamed on your lack of self-control." Benjamin nibbled on her ear and whispered seductively, "That's because you're too captivating." Orissa's cheeks flushed instantly. Just then, Edwin headed upstairs to call them. Upon seeing them hugging beside the wall, he coughed awkwardly. Orissa immediately averted her gaze due to embarrassment. Benjamin was calm and collected, as he glanced at Edwin. "What's the matter?" His voice remained indifferent and calm. It was hard to imagine he was acting like a rogue a few seconds ago. "Old Mr. Graham is here. He wants to see Mrs. Graham," Edwin replied, his gaze fixated on Benjamin. "All right, we are coming down now." After Edwin left, Benjamin let go of Orissa. When he was conversing with Edwin just now, Orissa had buried her head in Benjamin as she was too embarrassed to look at Edwin. Benjamin adjusted her clothes. He chuckled softly, looking at her reddened face. "Shall we head down?" Orissa raised her head to shoot him a glare, which made him recompose himself. Chapter 1133. Benjamin carried Orissa downstairs anyway. When she met Darius' amused gaze, she tugged on Benjamin's sleeve to make him put her down, but the man pretended to miss the signal. "I thought both of you were taking a nap," Darius teased as he looked at the couple knowingly. Orissa blushed. "Dad," she greeted lamely. "How long have you been here?" "I asked Edwin to check on the both of you as soon as I got here," the old man explained with a chuckle as he took a sip of his coffee. "I hope I didn't interrupt your rest." "No, I've been awake for a while now," Orissa said immediately. Benjamin carried her to the couch across from Darius and set her down on it. Then, he took the seat next to her and poured her a drink as he addressed Darius, "What brings you here?" Darius glared at his son indignantly. Could he sound any less welcoming? Orissa elbowed Benjamin as if to alert him of his rudeness. Then, she flashed a smile at Darius and said brightly, "Please have some fruit, Dad." After that, she turned and asked Edwin to prepare some finger food. "Oh, there's no need for that. We've brought cookies." Darius beamed. He liked Orissa a lot. He gestured to the old butler to bring the cookies out for Orissa to try. "William made these himself. They are not too buttery, which is perfect for pregnant women. Go on, try them, and tell me what you think," Darius prompted. Orissa eyed the assortment of cookies that were decked out on the coffee table. They were delicate and colorful, not to mention, they looked appetizing. "Mrs. Graham, each color has a different flavor," William explained respectfully as he stood next to Darius. "Thank you, William. I'll try one, then," Orissa said. She picked up one of the cookies and popped it into her mouth. Her eyes lit up at once, and she gave William a thumbs up as she praised wholeheartedly, "It's delicious, William. You've got skills." William's eyes crinkled as he grinned. "Have some more, Mrs. Graham. I've made boxes of these, so they should last you for a good couple of days. I'll make more for you when you've finished them." "Yes, please. Thank you, William," she replied. She reached for another cookie, but this time, she offered it to Darius and said sweetly, "Here, Dad, try one." The old man was beyond elated. Orissa went on to offer the cookies to William and Edwin, then invited them to eat with her. Next to her, Benjamin cast her a sidelong glance. He was a little miffed that she had offered everyone else a cookie but him. "You shouldn't eat so much or you'll get bloated," he pointed out to her. Orissa gave him a shrewd look. Her mouth was stuffed, so her retort came out rather incoherently. "It's not as if I'm eating a truckful." She quickly covered her mouth when she realized she was spraying crumbs all over the place. "Bloating. No, we've consulted Sean over this, and he said these cookies could be a proper meal all by themselves." "She'll be fine," Darius interjected, glaring at his son. "As if we would deliberately make something that'll give Issa gas. Mr. Graham, please rest assured that none of these cookies will give Mrs. Graham gas. They're made with easy-to-digest and nutritious ingredients." William piped up with a chuckle. "Don't eat them if you don't want to." Orissa gave Benjamin a dark look and went on to try the other cookies on the platter. They are so good." She said it. Darius chimed in, also glaring at Benjamin. The corner of Benjamin's mouth twitched. He was only worried that Orissa might get bloated from eating too many cookies. He didn't think he ought to be admonished for his concern. "Don't you have work to do? You don't have to be here, you know. Issa can keep us company," Darius said. He was playing the elder card now and shooing Benjamin away before the latter said anything more annoying. "Yeah, go and get your work done or something. I'll be here to entertain Dad," Orissa chimed in. Benjamin frowned. "It's almost like she doesn't want me around her." He only stayed in the living room to keep her company, and frankly, he couldn't care less about Darius. But here she is, heartlessly chasing me away. At that moment, Orissa sensed that she might have offended Benjamin. She blinked and peered at him cautiously, then added in a slightly gentler tone, "You said you have work to do, right? Go and get it out of the way before the kids come home for dinner, then we can all hang out together." She was trying to appease him. Chapter 1134. Placated, Benjamin stayed in the living room for a while, then excused himself to work in the study. Meanwhile, Orissa kept up a lively conversation with Darius, and they even played a round of chess afterward. By the time Sean came over to the house, the chess game was at its climax. Orissa greeted him absent-mindedly, then put all her focus on the game. Darius merely glanced at Sean in acknowledgement before quickly picking up one of his chess pieces. "That was a sneaky move, Issa. Hey, you saw it, huh?" Orissa smiled smugly. She looked at the chess piece he was holding above an empty square and asked, "You sure you want to stick to that square, Dad?" The old man had regretted his moves the last couple of times, and she could not help teasing him while reminding him that he could not change his mind after this. Darius' brows were tightly drawn together as he studied the chessboard. Then, with a solemn nod, he said, "I'm sure. No take-backs," Orissa pointed out in a sing-song voice. He took in her confident expression and began to waver, then looked back at the chessboard. He paused, then finally put his chess piece down on a different square and announced, "I'll put it here." Sean, William, and Edwin could not help sputtering from where they watched by the sidelines. "Very well, then, I guess I'll just have to move mine here." Without warning, Orissa moved a chess piece forward. Another step and she would take Darius' chess piece away. At the sight of this, Darius panicked and quickly retracted his chess piece. He abandoned his pride and put the chess piece onto the first square he had chosen earlier, then said, "I think I'm better off leaving it here." Orissa smirked. She was used to Darius' fickle-mindedness. Thoroughly entertained by this exchange, Sean interjected playfully, "Here I was thinking you'd be too proud to admit cowardice, old Mr. Graham." Darius glared at the young man and snapped, "Quiet, you." Go look for your boss and stop bothering me. You're going to make me lose. Sean was rendered speechless by Darius' outburst. William and Edwin, on the other hand, hid their smiles. They had expected such childish behavior from Darius. Oh, my, he has no qualms about blaming young people for his own inevitable defeat. Even Orissa began to feel sorry for Sean. She laughed and pointed out to him, "Your boss is in the study." Sean was not here on any important business other than to give Orissa her regular health checkup. However, he had put that off after seeing that she was busy beating Darius at chess. He scratched the tip of his nose, then went to look for Benjamin in the study. Unfortunately for Sean, Benjamin happened to be busy as well. He only gave Sean a quick look of acknowledgement before diving back into his work. With a raise of his brow, Sean found a seat for himself in the study and texted Kingsley. "How's Grandaunt doing?" Benjamin suddenly asked without looking up at Sean. Sean glanced at him, then said, "Her blood pressure was on the higher side this morning, probably due to a lack of sleep last night. It went back to normal after a while." Lack of sleep. Benjamin frowned at this and finally looked at Sean properly. Sean had made tea, and he was pouring a cup for himself as he elaborated, "She was down with a slight cold last night. There was some coughing, too. Why didn't you tell me?" Benjamin demanded as he shot Sean a dark look. They would have visited Mary in the hospital had they known she was ill. "It's nothing serious. I gave her some tonic this morning and she felt better afterward." With that, Sean raised his teacup and asked, "Would you like some tea?" "No, thanks." Benjamin was racing against time to finish his work. "Have you given Orissa her regular checkup yet?" "No, she's still playing chess with old Mr. Graham. They told me I was bothering them and chased me away." Sean shrugged, looking rather dejected. "Remember to examine her," Benjamin said, then resumed working. Just then, Sean received a reply from Kingsley. He chuckled as he read it and piped up, "Kingsley says he'll be coming over shortly." Benjamin made no protest. Half an hour later, Kingsley showed up at Yaleview with Gavin and the other children in tow. Mommy, Grandpa, with their backpacks still strapped over their shoulders, the children bounded up to Darius and Orissa, their soft and childish voices putting a happy smile on everyone's face. "Welcome home, sweethearts. Come over here to Grandpa," Darius greeted cheerily as he beckoned the children over to him. He would have picked them up from school himself if he weren't so engrossed in the chess game with Orissa. However, instead of running over to Darius, the children swarmed around Orissa and burrowed into her arms. They proceeded to bury her with kisses. Orissa beamed as she hugged them, then chided affectionately, "Aren't you all going to say hi to Grandpa?" Chapter 1135. The little ones giggled. They finally let go of Orissa after they had hugged her for long enough, then bounded up to Darius. Gavin asked excitedly, "When did you get here, Grandpa? Did you bring us yummy snacks, Grandpa?" Jesse piped up brightly, "Are you playing chess with Mommy, Grandpa?" Zachary asked, "Who's winning? Are you staying for dinner, Grandpa?" Tim asked, "Grandpa, will you be sleeping over tonight? Let's go out after dinner." Jasper chimed in, "How are you feeling today, Grandpa?" Danny asked. The 6 children asked their questions in such rapid succession that Darius was completely lost. He only heard Jess's question, because her voice was so loud that it cut above the rest. As such, he reached out to ruffle the little girl's hair and answered lovingly, "Yes, I did bring yummy snacks, but they're for your mommy. You can have some if you'd like." Jess's large eyes lit up at once. She ran up to Orissa and asked eagerly, "What did Grandpa bring, Mommy?" "Feeling puckish, are we?" Orissa laughed as she gently flicked the end of Jess's nose. "Go put your school bags away, kids." "Okay." The kids immediately headed toward the couch on the other side of the room and tossed the bags onto it. Orissa took out a box of cookies from under the coffee table and opened it, then set it aside for the children. "Don't take more than 1 or 2, kids, or you'll end up not wanting dinner." "Mr. Watts, would you like some?" Kingsley smiled and nodded. He helped himself to a cookie and asked, "Isn't Sean here?" "I don't see him." "Oh, he should be in the study," Orissa answered, glancing in the direction of the study. "Benjamin was holed up in there, too." Kingsley excused himself and made his way over to the study. He had only just reached the door when Sean and Benjamin came out. "Boss." Kingsley greeted Benjamin. Benjamin nodded, acknowledging Kingsley with a cursory glance. Sean, on the other hand, grinned at Kingsley and chided playfully, "Took you long enough to get here. I thought I wouldn't see you until after dinner." Kingsley glared at him and pointed out dryly, "I had to go and pick up the kids from school." "Ah, why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Damn it," Sean whined as he glowered at Kingsley. He wanted the kids to have a good impression of him, too. As such, when he went into the living room and saw the kids, he immediately made his way over to them. "Shouldn't he be at the hospital? For a doctor, he sure has a lot of time on his hands," Kingsley remarked as he walked with Benjamin. "He came here to give my wife her regular checkup," Benjamin explained, then went up to Arissa. The chessboard was still on the coffee table. "Sean, it's time for the checkup," Benjamin called out to Sean, who was so busy playing with the kids that he had completely forgotten about his purpose here. "Give me a minute, kids. I'll play with you guys later, okay?" Sean rubbed the children's heads affectionately and hurried to examine Arissa. Presently, Arissa obligingly put out her arms so Sean could take her blood pressure and check her vitals. Benjamin sat next to her with his arm wrapped around her waist. "Are you done with work?" She did not pull away from Benjamin as she asked him this. "Yeah," Benjamin replied. "Let's visit Grandaunt at the hospital after dinner." He did not tell her that Mary had been unwell last night. "Okay, I was just about to suggest that, too," Arissa said happily, relieved that he would let her go out of the house. Everyone else watched them in amusement. A moment later, Sean announced that he was done with the checkup. Darius asked nervously, "Sean, is Issa doing all right?" "She's fine. Her vitals are normal." Sean stored away his medical equipment and inched close to Darius. "Let me examine you, old Mr. Graham." He might as well give Darius a checkup while the old man was here. Darius made no objection and put his arm out for Sean to take his blood pressure. After a while, Sean packed up his things and said, "You might want to watch your diet, old Mr. Graham. Your blood pressure's a little high, so cut down on your calorie intake and get plenty of rest." Hearing this, Benjamin glanced at Darius, then turned to William and said, "Keep an eye on his diet, William." Chapter 1136. "I'm perfectly fine. I'll admit I got a little too worked up over the chess game just now, but I'm sure my blood pressure will be back to normal in no time," Darius argued. Everyone laughed. "What an adorable old man. In that case, you should take a break." Benjamin shot Darius a grave look. "Grandpa, you have to say something if you're not feeling well," Danny said worriedly from where he stood next to Darius, clinging onto the old man's fingers. "Yes, I know. Don't worry, I'm perfectly all right." Darius pulled the child into his arms to comfort him, then accused Benjamin and the others, "Look what you all did. You got the poor kid fretting over nothing. Have some water, Grandpa." Jessie poured a glass of water for Darius as she added, "Stop drinking coffee." Darius was grinning from ear to ear as he took the glass from Jessie. "Whatever you say, Jessie." He was moved when the children surrounded him and expressed their concerns for him. Everyone was chatting in the living room when Edwin came over to inform them dinner was ready. Following this, they adjourned to the dining room. "Mommy, are you and Daddy going to visit Great-Grandaunt after dinner?" Gavin asked. He had overheard Arissa and Benjamin's conversation earlier. "Yes, that's right," Arissa confirmed, giving the children generous helpings of food. "Can we go, too, Mommy?" Zachary asked urgently, worried that he and his siblings would be left out. Arissa chuckled. Her gaze was gentle as she looked at the kids. Nodding, she said, "Very well, you can all come along, but finish your dinner first." Elated, the children quickly polished off their food. After dinner, Benjamin and Arissa brought the kids to the hospital to visit Mary. Darius had initially wanted to go with them, but Arissa said no and insisted that he rest at home. Sean had to go back to the hospital, so he tagged along with Benjamin and the others. Kingsley went as well, knowing he would be bored out of his mind if he were to stay at Yaleview with Darius. Mary was surprised to see all of them. She nagged at them for a bit, but there was no hiding how happy she was about their visit. "Have you all had your dinner?" Mary asked affectionately as her gaze swept across their faces. "Yes, great-grandaunt," Jasper replied cheerily, leaning close to the old lady. "Have you had yours?" "I just finished dinner before the lot of you came," Mary answered. She seemed to be in good spirits as she beckoned for them to take their seats. Orissa pulled up a seat by Mary's bedside. She waited until the old lady had finished speaking with the children before exchanging pleasantries with her. Kingsley had bought some fruits on the way here. He placed the fruits on the table, then brought some of them to the sink to rinse them. "Have some fruits, Madam Mary," he said as he presented the fruits to Mary. Touched, Mary said, "You really shouldn't have. It's good enough that all of you came to visit me." Kingsley chuckled. "We'll eat the fruits together, then." When Mary had taken a slice of fruit, he passed the platter to Orissa and said, "Orissa, want some?" Orissa smiled and looked at him curiously. "Did you get these on the way here?" "Yeah, they looked really fresh, so I figured I'd buy some," Kingsley answered, then called the kids over to take their share of the fruits. With the platter still in his hands, he turned to ask Benjamin and Sean, "Hey, you guys want some fruits?" Sean was checking Mary's blood pressure, and it was after he made sure she was fine that he stored his equipment away and reached for the fruits. "Grandaunt, you should have told me you weren't feeling well last night," Orissa said. She felt guilty for not checking up on Mary these days. "I ought to check up on her more often now that I'm out of the hospital." "No need to make a mountain out of a molehill," Mary said nonchalantly, chuckling. "It was just a cold, that's all. Nothing serious. Besides, I'm all better now, and I wouldn't want you all to make a fuss over me." "Are you really all better now, great-grandaunt?" Danny implored as he stared at Mary with wide eyes. "Yes, I am. My voice sounds normal, doesn't it?" Mary rubbed the little boy's head tenderly. "Well, that's good to know," Danny said. He assessed her briefly, then let out a small sigh of relief. Chapter 1137. After accompanying Mary for a while, Orissa suggested, "Grandaunt, how about we go downstairs for a walk?" Looking at the latter, Mary smiled and nodded. "Sure." Hearing that, the children hurriedly ran to get the wheelchair and pushed it over. "Great-grandaunt, you can sit here, and we can wheel you around." Mary was pleased with the children's sweet gesture. Then, she sat in the wheelchair with Orissa's help. Benjamin looked at them silently before turning to Kingsley and said, "Do you want to head back first?" "We'll go back, soon." Casting him a glance, Kingsley whispered, "You did not go anywhere in the past few days. Aren't you bored? Do you want to hang out with me tonight? Let's have a gathering party." "No." Benjamin showed no interest at all. He got up and approached Orissa. "We're going to have a walk in the garden downstairs. Do you want to come along?" Orissa asked cautiously as she was worried that he would not allow her to go. "Okay." Benjamin nodded and held her hand. The children pushed along the wheelchair and couldn't contain their excitement. Orissa looked at the children with a smile and reminded them, "Slow down and don't push too fast. Be careful." The children turned their heads and replied in their soft voices, "All right, Mommy." Benjamin and Orissa walked behind the children, while Kingsley followed them with his hands inside his pockets. Orissa looked at Kingsley and asked, "Mr. Watts, do you want to go for a walk as well?" "No, I need to go to Sean's place to have a look." Kingsley was a little shy to follow, so he let them have some space to spend more time with Mary. Nodded, Orissa then followed the children to the elevator. "You guys step aside. I'll push her in." Benjamin stepped forward, took over the handle, and pushed the wheelchair into the elevator. The children looked at him, hurriedly step aside, and make room for him. Benjamin pushed Mary into the elevator. After securing the wheelchair, Orissa then led the children into the elevator. Downstairs, Benjamin pushed Mary out of the elevator before letting the children wheel her around. It was then his phone rang. The children were familiar with the garden, so they already pushed Mary over in a short while. "I have to take this," said Benjamin to Orissa. "All right, I'll go and watch over them." Orissa nodded as she said. She was worried that the children would hit someone, so she went after them. "Slow down, kids." Orissa, Miranda suddenly stopped Orissa in her path out of nowhere. Orissa didn't expect to bump into Miranda. Her brows frowned, which made no attempt to conceal her disgust. "Who are you? Get away from me." With a cold expression, Orissa tried to walk from beside, but she was stopped by Miranda once again. She squinted her eyes and glared at the latter coldly. Feeling wronged, Miranda almost cried. "Orissa, it's been a long time since we've met. I missed you so much. Let's go home. Dad misses you, too." Looking at Miranda's pretentious act, Orissa felt disgusted. What is this woman playing at? Why is she having such a huge change in her attitude to me? Dad really misses you, Orissa. He is still guilty of hitting you impulsively the last time and wanted to apologize. Yet, you don't want to meet him. Most of his hair has turned gray, and he is not in good health since then. He didn't mean to hit you. What exactly do you want? Orissa didn't want to hear Miranda's nonsense. She didn't believe a single word the latter said. She knew Regan well. Even if he treated her well, it was because she still had some value to him. Guilty, huh? He is just trying to please me in order for him to get something from me, isn't he? Orissa, please don't be so fierce. I'm afraid of you. Miranda looked at Orissa fearfully as she saw Benjamin approaching from the corner of her eyes. Orissa stared at the latter in rage. Orissa, we really missed you. Can you come home to visit Dad? Benjamin walked to Orissa's side and wrapped his arm around Orissa's waist, without even sparing a glance at Miranda. Honey, I'm done. Chapter 1138. When Miranda saw Benjamin's handsome features, she couldn't even shift her gaze off him. He is so handsome. Miranda's cheeks turned red and her heart started racing. He is such an outstanding man. There is no way Orissa is worthy of him. I'm the only one who can match him. Noticing Miranda's gaze, Orissa was displeased and wanted to pull Benjamin away. However, they were stopped by Miranda. Orissa, why aren't you introducing him to me? Is he my brother-in-law? Without waiting for Orissa's response, thick-skinned Miranda directly greeted Benjamin. Hi Benjamin, I'm Orissa's sister, Miranda. You can call me Mira. Hearing that, Orissa almost puked. How shameless this woman is. Benjamin didn't even look at Miranda but fixed his gaze on Orissa, instead and asked, is she your sister? Orissa's lips twitched. Benjamin did it on purpose. Orissa looked at Miranda in disdain and replied in an icy tone, I don't have a sister. Miranda, please stop the act. I don't have such a shameless sister. Orissa, I know you're mad at me. I'm sorry. Miranda was all teary-eyed as if she was greatly wronged and looked all pitiful. Orissa rolled her eyes and then glanced at Benjamin. When she saw him fixing his gaze on her all the time without even sparing a glance at Miranda, she was relieved. It seems like Miranda has crossed the wrong person today. Does she think that Benjamin is the same as the other men who would care for every woman? Orissa, you haven't gone home to visit Dad for a long time. Since Benjamin is here, you can bring him home together. Mom and Dad will be very happy. Benjamin, you're welcome to come home with Orissa. Our family will definitely give you a warm welcome. You won't turn down my request, will you? Blushed, Miranda looked at Benjamin expectantly. Orissa looked at Miranda with a cold expression. How dare she try to seduce Benjamin in front of my face? She doesn't have any sense of shame, does she? Benjamin's lips curled upward disdainfully and glanced at Miranda. What if I say no? Miranda was stunned. She didn't expect Benjamin would respond like that and felt embarrassed. However, she quickly regained her senses in the next second, smiled, and asked coyly, Are you busy, Benjamin? That's okay. You can go and visit us when you are free. You can inform me beforehand, so I can tell my parents to give you a warm welcome. In that case, can I have your number? With that, Miranda took out her phone and approached Benjamin. That won't be necessary. I have no interest at all to go to your house. Benjamin rejected her directly with blatant disregard. Orissa was pleased by his response. Miranda, we both know your intentions. Don't bother to act anymore. Orissa, I don't have any other intentions. I just want you to go home. You can't live outside all the time. Miranda looked worried and acted like she was very concerned about Orissa. Unfortunately, Orissa knew her too well and remained unmoved. I'm busy. That place is no longer my home. Also, don't come to me whenever you see me. You disgust me. Orissa leans over and warned her. Miranda's expression shifted as she clenched her fists tightly to suppress her anger. The next second, her face was full of a grieved expression. Orissa. Miranda teetered on the verge of tears. Right then, Orissa shot a sharp gaze that intimidated the latter, and she dared not to finish her words. Orissa left together with Benjamin without deigning to pay her any mind. Let's go, darling. Benjamin held Orissa's hand and reminded softly, slow down. Looking at the two of them acting intimately, Miranda was overwhelmed with jealousy. She stomped her foot. Why does Orissa get so much attention and care from Benjamin? Chapter 1139. Benjamin's gaze had been fixed on Orissa, and his brows scrunched together deeply, seeing that her mood was affected by Miranda. Shall I get someone to teach her a lesson? Orissa was promptly taken aback. She looked at him and smiled. No need. She could handle Miranda herself, and there was no need for Benjamin to intervene. Benjamin tightened his grip on her hand and uttered softly, just let me know if you need any help. I'll always be her strongest pillar of support no matter what. Orissa understood his intention, and she felt a warm feeling spreading in her chest. Okay, I know. Benjamin took her to the children, who had been playing in the garden with Mary for a while. The children looked at them gleefully when they saw them coming. Jasper teased, Mommy, why are you and Mr. Graham taking such a long time? Did you go on a date in secret? Orissa was nonplussed, and she smacked Jasper on the head. Would we be here if we really went on a date? Oliver giggled and added cheekily, that's not necessarily true. We won't be able to see you if you guys went on a date there. Orissa met Mary's twinkling gaze. Her face flushed, and she explained, he was taking a call, so I waited for him. We then came over together. Gavin, Tim, Zachary, and Jess's eyes moved back and forth between them. Orissa signaled for Benjamin to agree with her, but the latter remained silent. His eyes twinkled as he watched her get teased by the children. Orissa was not amused and she covertly pinched Benjamin's palm. The children probably think I'm lying if he doesn't clarify it. HMPH. Men are unreliable. Let's go. Let's take Grandaunt to the front where it's more spacious. Orissa stepped forward and pushed Mary's wheelchair. She wanted to take Mary for a stroll by the lake. Let me do that. Benjamin wanted to give her a hand, but Orissa did not let him. Mary felt dubious when she saw Benjamin staring anxiously at Orissa. She turned to look at Orissa. Isa, let Benjamin handle this. Grandaunt, it's fine. It's not tiring to push your wheelchair, Orissa responded with a smile. She then threw a glare at Benjamin. He's always making a fuss out of nothing. My body is fine, and there's no problem with normal daily activities. It's not like I'm doing labor work. Mary scrutinized Orissa, and she did not know if it was her imagination. Isa, have you been tired lately? You look a bit anemic. Orissa was stunned. Grandaunt can tell. You have to take care of yourself and not just focus on your work. You should eat more supplements to replenish your vitality. Women need to nourish themselves every month. Otherwise, it will be easy to fall sick. Mary thought Orissa's exhaustion was due to work and lack of nutrition. She continued to share her experiences. You can drink soup after that time of the month finishes. You can add tonic or drink more chicken soup once you get used to doing that. Orissa felt her cheeks reddening as she peeked at Benjamin. She felt amused to see him slightly bewildered. I know, Grandaunt. Don't worry about me. You have to take care of yourself at the hospital. Tell me if there's anything you need. Don't worry about troubling me. I am not afraid of taking the trouble. We can only be happy if you get better. Gratification swept over Mary, and she nodded with a smile. Okay. Orissa helped her out of the wheelchair, and the children rushed forward to help support Mary for a walk by the lake. Orissa and Benjamin followed behind them, and their eyes were fixed on the children and Mary. What does that time of the month mean? Benjamin could not help but ask, as he had heard of this phrase a few times before. Orissa grinned and looked at Benjamin's slightly embarrassed look with sparkling eyes. It means a woman's period. Why is it called that time of the month? Benjamin's brows were tightly knitted, as he was still confused. What does a women's period have to do with the time of the month? I have completely misunderstood the meaning. Orissa's lips twitched. I don't know. That's just what people call it. You can look it up. Chapter 1140. Benjamin opened his phone and began searching. When Orissa saw him searching attentively, her lips began to twitch. When Benjamin was done, he handed the phone to Orissa. He stated with a serious look, "It is an illusion." Look. Although Orissa was bereft of words, she still took a look as curiosity swelled within her. You really have no idea? Benjamin asked with a smile when he saw that she was confused. Orissa shook her head and pouted her lips. A lot of people don't actually know. They simply use the term because they see other people using it. Benjamin was amused. He seemed to be studying an interesting topic, and he continued reading. It also varies by region. Each place has a different name for it, and some refer to it as Shark Week. Orissa noticed the glances from the people passing. She tugged on the hem of his shirt and reminded softly, I got it. Stop talking about it. People are laughing at you. Benjamin glanced around and frowned. Orissa chuckled discreetly, but she quickly stopped herself when she met his dark gaze. You're the one who's laughing. Benjamin leaned over to her ear and wrapped his arm around her waist vengefully. Orissa blinked innocently. No, I only reminded you because the people who passed by were giving you strange looks. You've accused me wrongly. She snorted a few times huffily with her cheeks puffed out. Benjamin's gaze darkened with desire. He reached out to squeeze her cheek. Really, believe it or not. Orissa turned her head and looked at the children and Mary. She hurriedly headed over to accompany Mary to escape his retaliation. Benjamin smiled and followed behind them in keeping Mary company. However, he received a call very soon because of his busy work schedule. Benjamin's gaze was still on Orissa even though he answered the call. Orissa and the children sent Mary upstairs after strolling around leisurely for an hour. Benjamin had been following behind them. Benjamin is swamped with work. You guys should go back early. Mary could tell Benjamin was quite busy with the number of calls he was receiving. He's like this every day. Orissa responded with a smile while pushing Mary back to the ward. You have to remind him to take a break and not to overwork. Mary was worried for Benjamin. Okay, I'll talk to him about it when we get back. Orissa nodded and noted it down. Orissa wanted to help clean Mary in the ward, but the old lady stopped her. You guys should go back now. I have already wiped myself in the afternoon. Seeing that Benjamin was still on the phone, Orissa took the opportunity to spend some more time with Mary. The children did not want to go back early either, so they fought to tell Mary stories. They only bid Mary farewell and returned home when Benjamin was done with his call. The 6 children were silent and yawning on the way back. Don't fall asleep, Orissa reminded. She giggled, as she watched them being on the verge of falling asleep. The children giggled and exchanged glances with each other. Mommy, we're just yawning. Orissa hugged them and pressed a kiss on their faces. We'll reach home very soon. Why don't you talk, or sing? I haven't heard you guys sing for a long time. Mommy, I'll start. Jessie excitedly began singing. Zachary, Oliver, and Jasper joined in. Gavin felt too embarrassed to sing. He looked at the rest, and no one knew whether he could sing or not. Tim, on the other hand, did not know how to sing. His teacher had never taught him how to sing, and he had not heard of this song. This song was actually written by Zachary, Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie. The song was very popular, and the siblings even took home a big award for it. They sang it frequently because they loved it a lot. Orissa noticed that Gavin and Tim did not know how to sing the song and reminded her other children. Zachary, Gavin, and Tim aren't familiar with this song. You're in charge of teaching them. Yes, Mommy. Zachary found the lyrics immediately. Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie also joined in to teach the song lyrics line by line to Gavin and Tim.